Kit Apostalocus. I live in Rosemont, Pennsylvania.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you met Emet?
Yeah, so I was dating Niko at the time, and so I met Emet through Niko. Niko had wanted to go see Emet and support him, and I wanted to support Niko and Emet by extension. I ended up driving Niko sometimes. Sometimes I would kind of just go off and do my own thing, get a slice of pizza or something, just so all the close friends can have their time together. But then other times I would actually be in the room and hanging out, enjoying everyone's company. I think my first impression of Emet was, well, he was very forward with everyone, not in like a rude way or anything, just very straightforward and honest. I remember kind of very, very much appreciating that in him as a person. Because I try to emulate that myself, just be honest and straightforward with people. I had visited him in hospice when he was in the hospital in the city. That was when I first met him. The second room that he moved to, where he ended up dying, it was much brighter. In both rooms there was some like decorations, but more so I recall in the second, things that people had made, memorabilia of various sorts. So it's very much decorated to be his room, but his room insofar as he's connected with so many other people and communities. I didn't really know, at least first going, I only knew Niko. I came to realize there's a lot of seminarians there. That was the first kind of bit of expertise that stuck out to me. Like the people who were visiting him tended to be seminarians. I think there was one person who did social work, and everyone was very expert in being a friend, which I think is perhaps the most important thing in that scenario. They didn't seem offended or put off by Emet's forthrightness, and instead were responsive to it and seemed to give it right back. That seemed to be a value because it seemed not just to be about the attitude of being straightforward, but about just communicating the truth, whatever that may be, truth of something that's needed, the truth of some judgment of a situation. And so I think that the expertise comes in sharing in the truth together and recognizing it together.
Being present with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Being willing to just like be open. No, being willing and open to kind of just being present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes that doesn't even require talking. If nothing's needed in the immediate moment, except the presence of a friend, then they're there, right? And that presence is good in itself, but it also carries with it this anticipation or a faith that the other friend is open to how things might change, if that change is kind of mundane, like, oh, I need a glass of water right now, so you need to change your position to go get a glass of water, or more substantial, like I'm going to die. Kind of unclear when, but I'm going to die. There's a kind of visceral acceptance of that potential.
An acceptance of the truth.
Yes. Yeah, and not just the truth of how things are presently, but how they might be. I mean, I've felt very much welcomed there. I come from a tradition in Christianity called Anglo-Catholicism. One of its key distinctions is our interest in social cohesion and social solidarity, not just on a political level, but on a very local and communal level. I saw aspects of that in the community that was kind of brought up among the rabbinical seminarians. The faith, it's not reducible to social action, but it moves us into social action. That's a very key part of it. It's a very close-knit community there where faith was very clearly the driving force, even though obviously we're all there because of Emet and in some kind of literal practical sense. We're also there because we love God. And one of the ways we love God is by loving Emet. Which isn't to say Emet's God, obviously, but there's a presence there because God is in those who are suffering and with those who are suffering. I see that in my own tradition, and I kind of gathered that from the seminarians as well, the rabbinical seminarians.
You know why you fit right in? As someone who's interested in like seminary, there was natural belonging there.
Yeah, and I mentioned that I did feel welcomed, and that was one of the reasons I did feel welcome. Generally, I feel very alienated from kind of queer communities, in large part because of my religion. There, I did not feel alienated at all, even though there was a kind of social distance just based on how I knew everyone. Yeah, I felt very much welcomed there, and there was kind of begrudging my presence, and so I was very humbled to have been included and welcomed as I was.
The space was powerful for everyone. It gave a gift to everyone. So what can we learn about like disability and chronic illness from the kind of network of care that emerged there?
I would say that communities like that are not only very important and crucial, but sometimes they come too late. I'm sure there's lots of people, Emet included, who could have benefited from something so close-knit and supportive before things get really bad. And imagine in some cases it might actually save someone's life. I don't know that it would have saved Emet.
Emet's room essentially like functioned as a community center. Not only to visit Emet, you came to see your friends.
Yeah.
Because if Emet was there, there would be 10 other people there.
Yeah.
That the community was meeting there.
Right.
I think there's a real lesson there about that we can recenter communities around chronically ill and disabled people. That meeting can just happen where they are.
Yeah.
We can come to them. For a brief moment in time, there was a congregation of which Emet was the rabbi, and we were just lucky enough to be the congregants of that brief moment in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have the resources to form a similar kind of community around someone who's dying, but it's articulated so differently, where the space becomes not about a piece of land, but the space of the person's own soul. And I think for us, there is a liturgical center, which is the Eucharist. And normally that's in a church, up in an altar, in a tabernacle. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Like we bring the Eucharist to people in the hospital, or to people who are sick at home, or to people in hospice. And so the center in that case, it doesn't stop being in the church building, but it also extends out, and it's brought into wherever it needs to be. We say among Catholics that the Eucharist is what makes us the church, because it is the body of Christ and we consume it. And when that is brought out and enters into the community, wherever there is love, there is the center of the church made into a new space.
Where the queer and trans people are together, like that's holy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we see each other.
Yeah. When you say holy, how do you understand that word?
It's because we love each other. And we see the holiness in each other. Like we see the beauty in each other.
Is seeing that beauty kind of setting the other person apart from what everyone else is seeing?
Honoring their holiness.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Every person's presence there mattered. Like, without any single person, it would have been different.
Mm-hmm.
Like every person made it what it was.